getting you. I'm getting you. I'm getting you. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Hold on, I'm fixing the bed here. Fixing the bed. I know. I know. I'm gonna lay here for a second. I know I'm gonna have to get off because I gotta feed him. I've been wanting to go live. It's just we didn't get discharged until yesterday, so he was born sun side up. I see you. Okay, I'm gonna sit this here for a second. Come here. Come here. Daddy, change your diaper. Oh, Daddy, change your diaper. You ready to eat? Here. Oh, you hungry? Oh, look at all of his hair. Look at all of his hair. Say hi. Say hi. I'm wide awake. Yeah. When all the other kids go to sleep, I wake up. It's awesome. Hold on. Come on. Which side's fuller? Hold on. Okay. Let me switch sides. It's okay. It's okay. Hey. See? You're okay. Oh, you lost it. It's right here. Hey. Okay. Oh, my husband's calling me. Oh my goodness. How do I flip the screen? Okay. If you haven't noticed, we moved and started to renovate our home, and then my mother died. Well, COVID hit, my mother died, and then I got pregnant. So one of the things that hasn't been done is my ceiling. The rest of the room has been done, but the ceiling has not. Anyway, trying to see if there's any comments. Aww. Girl or boy? It's dark in here because my lamp, I need a new bulb. My husband's works great, but mine's dead, so it looks brighter in here than it is, but I can hardly see. So I'll read comments if I can. I'll try. And I'm tired. I'm so tired that when I get really tired, my vision gets a little blurry. Oh, let me try to fix this so I can, try to lay back. Alright. Without disturbing the baby. So, I don't know if any of you watched videos of, baby kicking. Well, one of the reasons we could see baby kicking so great was because baby was face first. He came out face first. That's what sunny side up is. Babies are supposed to be born with their head down, their head, their back, their butt, so they can crown during birth, and you have a nice, smooth easy delivery. I've delivered 5 kids, or 5 babies prior to him, and I was in excruciating pain, and I knew something was terribly wrong, but because I had never been through it before, I didn't know what it was. And what amazes me is after all that excruciating pain, the nurses didn't tell me, the doctor didn't tell me. But after I've done my research, there's no way that they weren't unaware that he was sunny side up, that he was faced the wrong way, and that they were about to go through either a really difficult delivery or emergency C-section. But they said nothing to me. And I was going to do the delivery all natural. Well, the pain was so bad, I couldn't handle it, and I finally asked for an epidural. The epidural didn't work. And I believe it didn't work because of the position he was in and the way that it's supposed to drip down your spine and basically into your legs and everything. Because of his position, and the guy that was doing the epidural messed up twice, and then on the third try he got it in, but I was like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. And I could still, I've had deliveries in the past before I knew any better, with epidurals that worked, so I know what an epidural is and what they're supposed to do. And not only was I moving my feet, I could lift up my legs, I could walk. It didn't work. But anyway, so had the epidural worked, I don't know if I would have ever figured out that he was sunny side up. Okay, so it's finally time for him to come, and he's coming fast. And because he didn't have time to crown, I literally had to push a baby that was in my stomach straight out with no process. I read that a lot of women push up for hours, but once they get past the 3-hour mark and the baby's under stress and the mom's under stress, they try to get the mom to, get a C-section. Or it's an emergency C-section, depending on the situation. So anyway, I told everybody, the baby's coming, I'm having the baby. This nurse that's clueless comes in, checks me, and she's like, you haven't made any progress, you're still at a 7.5, and walks out of the room. And I've had a lot of babies, and my husband can see it in my eyes. He knows when I'm gonna deliver. She walked out of the room. I couldn't believe it. The next contraction comes, and I'm like, I'm gonna have this baby. And apparently my husband and my sister and my best friend are gonna deliver. And everybody goes running down the hall again. The baby's coming. This time, my doctor came in along with 3 other nurses. And the doctor looks, and she's like, we don't even have any equipment set up. The baby's head's right there. So, they left. I was at a 7.5. Within 45 seconds or less, I had already basically given birth. I just needed to give a little push for him to come out. But anyway, they're running around like nutcases trying to get ready to deliver the baby. They weren't ready. And when the next contraction came, I pushed him out. But it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They didn't listen to me. But I felt his face. So, I could feel his eyebrows, his nose, his mouth. And I'm like, well, why can I feel his face? Why can I feel his face? Why can I feel his face? And when they said, okay, go ahead and push him out, because his head was already there. I went to push, and because I could feel his little face, I got scared and didn't want to hurt him, so I stopped. And they were like, no, you have to push. And then he came right out. No problems. He has no bruising. I didn't get injured other than the excruciating pain. Because a lot of times babies have like black and blue faces from bruising. A lot of times they break their nose. A lot of times babies break their collarbone. And depending on the positioning of their arms and legs, they can break, a finger or a wrist or all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's an absolute miracle that he came out with no bruising, no breaks, and I didn't have any problems down there. But anyway, so baby's born. Nobody told me it was sunny side up yet. And they take the baby over and they're working on him. And like I said, this is my 6th one. So they're working on him and he's full of amniotic fluid. And I'm like, why is he full of amniotic fluid? And another nurse says, oh, it's common. I was like, it can't be that common. This is my 6th baby. This has never happened before. And I just kept saying, why is he full of fluid? Is he okay? Can you get the fluid out? Can he breathe? On and on and on. I wouldn't stop. And I kept saying, why could I feel his face? Why could I feel his face? Is his face bruised? I just wouldn't stop. And never did get any answers from them yet. But wouldn't stop talking about it. They finally did get all the fluid out of his lungs, but he couldn't pass the hearing test until the very last day we were there because his ears were full of fluid. Everything was full of fluid. Anyway, my sister had watched all my other babies being born, and she stayed the whole night of the delivery. And after everything was settled down, she went home. Next morning, she calls and she's like, April, all your other babies came out head down. She's like, Ezra was sunny side up. And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. That's why he was full of amniotic fluid. And then I was just like, what? And I knew nothing about sunny side up other than, why they come out with their face up. So I started doing research and realized all the problems. I had so many problems throughout my pregnancy that I've never had before. It's the cause of them all. And the delivery, I cannot put into words the pain. And it's because, I'm sorry if anybody in here, if you don't want to hear about birth, go. Anyway, so when you're in labor, a lot of women will know this, and you're having contractions, your body's working together. It might hurt, but in my mind, not anymore. But anyway, your contractions come and it pushes the baby down, slowly, but down, 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 and the baby crowns. It works like, if you were to think of a stream, your whole body's working together. Even if it's a little painful, your whole body's working together. It makes sense. It feels right if you're going to compare what labor should feel like. Okay, this time, it's like watching a stream with a huge blockade that's in the wrong position, forcing all the water to go in the wrong direction. Like, I don't even know. Put that into I don't know how else to explain it. It was awful. So I'd have these huge contractions and my body would fight against it because he was in a position where I couldn't deliver him. I mean, I can't even explain it. And it causes you to have back delivery. So you're literally, instead of having, pain around your stomach and pressure where you're going to give birth, you have pressure, more pressure, and then you deliver. Well, I had pressure in my back and my butt. There was no pressure where it belonged. The pressure was going in the opposite direction because most or all the baby's weight is on the baby's back. So if the baby's back is up against your back and its head's pushed back too far, it's not working its way out. It's working its way on like beating the crap out of like, your spine and all these other very, sensitive places that it shouldn't be. It was absolutely insane. It was insane. It was insane. It was insane. And I told everybody if I would have had a sunny side up baby, and it's all sunny side up babies are different because like, well, no, they're all extremely, extremely, extremely painful. I'm not gonna lie. And it's something like over 90% of women who have sunny side up babies have to get a C-section. And the ones that don't end up, with, an injured baby and an injured mommy that needs lots of stitches. Let's just put it that way. So I got really, really, I'm not going to say lucky because the Lord was with me. But, I can't remember where I was going, what I was saying, because I haven't slept for days. Oh, so after I figured it out, the nurses are still taking care of me because I'm in postpartum. And the lady that had worked on Ezra for 45 minutes, she's a nurse, to get fluid out of him, I was like, I knew her. So I saw her in the hall and I started a conversation with her. I was like, I know you. You were probably in the room with at least 5 of my kids. One of them tonight and 4 prior. And she was like, yeah, I know you. And I was like, Ezra was sunny side up. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, that's why all the fluid was in his lungs. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, why didn't you say something? And she's like, I can't. I mean, if the doctor doesn't say anything, then we can't say anything. I was like, but since I figured it out, you can talk to me. She's like, oh, yeah, you figured it out. I can talk any questions you have. She was so sweet, but it is insane to me. If I wasn't, she had a medical term, or a term they use in the medical field to explain women like me. And I can't remember what it was because my memory. A grandma tip, a grandma something. And then she was like, oh no, don't get offended. It's not your age. It's because you've had 6 babies. So she like said what I'm referred to as. And she's like, the questions you were asking in that room, most women have no idea what's going on. They come in here, they have a baby, they leave. They're never going to figure out what just happened. She's like, but it's up to the doctor. So, like, if the doctor says, let her know she's sunny side up and this is what to expect, that would be great. But unless the doctor calls it, then that's that. And here's what's really messed up because one of my babies is dead because of a doctor who just was lazy and decided not to do his job. If my doctor would have told me that I was sunny side up and something went wrong, and then we'd have problems, okay? If my doctor doesn't tell me I'm sunny side up and I never figure it out and we have problems, it's a different story because, baby wasn't, as far, to her knowledge, baby wouldn't have been considered high risk. It wouldn't have been considered a high risk delivery, and they left me alone for 99% of it. They literally left the room while I was giving birth. So, I know why she didn't tell me he was sunny side up. because there's a lot of things they could have done that we could have done while I was in labor to try to get the baby to turn. Not that he would have. And there's things she could have done to ensure that even if we had to deliver sunny side up, things would have went a lot more smoother, to say the very least. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I've been through so much. I never keep my mouth shut. I know what's up. And they normally can't pull a fast one on me, so they don't try. But they did. They pulled it off. I had never been through it before, and I guess they assumed I never would, understand, or else they would have told me. One. Two, by the grace of Almighty God, the epidural didn't work. If the epidural would have worked, I would have never felt his face. I had no clue. And because you have an epidural, you can't sit up and look, right? My husband would have never noticed, and my sister never would have thought twice about it if I wouldn't have shut up about it. So nobody would have ever told me, and I never would have known. But because my epidural didn't work, I could sit up, I could move my legs, and I could feel the entire delivery, face included. But anyway, so I think that was a miracle too, because, I've now officially been through it all with childbirth. And, so I'm going to go in at my 6 weeks and act like I have no clue to what happened to me, and ask her some random questions and see how she acts. Like, maybe something like, I wonder why I was in so much pain during labor, or, like why it was different this time, or, can you explain to me why you think he got fluid in his lungs? And when I asked that in the room, they just kept saying, "Oh, it's normal. It happens sometimes. It just happens sometimes." So I'm going to say, well, I know that it can happen sometimes, but that was a lot of fluid, and it took 5 days for, like, his ears to dry, like, clear up enough for him to pass the hearing test. Like, I'm just going to try to ask, like, random questions that, first time moms would ask without, what I mean? Just try to seem cool, like I'm clueless. And then see how she acts. And then afterwards say, my baby was born sunny side up. This is what happened to me. And you didn't tell me. Why? 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 Why would you put me and baby at risk without giving me a chance to make decisions? I needed to make decisions, and she did not give me the opportunity. And my mental and emotional state could have handled what was happening to me, because I knew something was wrong. I kept saying something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, if I knew what was happening. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. Gosh, I either need glasses or a light. But yeah, when it comes to the medical field, you have to be really careful. My son's dead because of a doctor that, just didn't care. And my mother's dead because of a doctor that, just didn't feel like doing his job that day. No, my son died because a doctor decided he just didn't feel like doing his job that way. My mother died because a doctor decided he wanted her sodium to be at a certain level, and it's only safe if you do it really slow. And he said this. I have it on camera. I secretly recorded him. He said, we kept trying to get her sodium to go up. Her sodium never would have went up. She's had low sodium her entire life. Like, it's just part of who she is. Sorry, her sodium's not going to go up. And if it wasn't during COVID lockdown and they would have asked one of us, we would have said, well, don't bother with her sodium. It's not going to change. It's just who she is. But anyway, it, nobody called us, and they just kept shooting her up with this stuff, and her sodium just stayed low. And he said, it just wouldn't go up, so I gave her a higher dose, and that's what killed her. And then he said after that, we were taught in medical school, too high, brain fry. That's what happened to her. And I was like, too high, brain fry, and you did it anyway? And he was like, well, it wasn't coming up. And I was like, that's because she has low sodium. Like, she has low sodium. It wasn't an emergency. It's like being anemic or something. That's just part of who she is. Some people have high blood sugar or high cholesterol, all kinds of stuff. She had, high sodium or low sodium, sorry. I mean, and now she's dead because the doctor, didn't want to, try it over a week. And then maybe in that week make one phone call and find out that he was wasting his time. But instead, he just double dosed her and killed her when he was taught to never do that. And he said it with absolutely no remorse, none. He said it just matter of fact. And he's like, you have two choices. Your mother stay here, because he could hardly speak English. Your mother stay here and she die here alone because COVID, or your mother go home on hospice and die. She'll stay here, she'd be miserable, you can't see her, she may die slow, but she's brain dead. Or she can go home, be on hospice, and be with you, and she'll starve and thirst to death. So that's our options. And if I wouldn't have been in sheer trauma, because I'm the only one in the family that knows how to handle these things, I would have stood up and said, so you're telling me that she's going to be brain dead, locked up in a hospital like a prison. That's one option. So my option is to never see my mother again and let her die slowly and alone. Or my mom can come home, but she's not going to get a feeding tube or fluids, and she has a week to die. Because that's how long it takes to starve to death, thirst to death, She could have lived months in the hospital, but nobody could see her. That's not an option. Like, medical freedom, I need all of you to know that medical freedom is to make a choice. Like, I could have said, no, I want a feeding tube in her, I want fluids in her, and I want her to come home if you refuse to let us see her. If we're allowed to come see her, then please do what's best and make her better, or, And then I really asked myself, after she passed, how do I know if she was brain dead? How do I know? How do I know she wasn't just drugged up? Because when they brought her home, I would say, Mom, and she would look at me. Before she stopped talking, she would answer me. And I remember we asked him some sort of question like, she's brain dead now, and he's like, yeah, pretty much, it's just gonna get worse. But does that make sense either? None of it really makes sense. And I'm like, did he just mess up so bad that, if she lived to tell the story, he might be in trouble, so we gotta get rid of her? I got all kinds of weird vibes. Really weird vibes. Why would you threaten somebody like that to never see a loved one again? Well, say she were a vegetable. How would we know? Because he's like, what's the point in keeping her alive, basically, if she's just a vegetable type thing? But how would I know she's a vegetable if I can't see her? How would any of us know? You know what I mean? How? And at this point, my mom can still communicate, and she's like, take me home. And I wish to God I would have said, yes, we're taking you home, and they're going to do what their job, and they're going to put a feeding tube in you and fluids in you, and you're going to be just fine. And I guarantee you she would have been just fine. But, when the sad thing is, when people go into severe, like, trauma, PTSD style, like, my PTSD from when my son died kicked in, because it's not like you just heard, it's not like she had some terrible disease and we got the bad news. No, we had this doctor that was completely whack, giving us, saying she's going to die while making up all this crazy stuff. Like, it's like, what do you do in that position? I went into complete and utter shock. And then when it was over, I started to realize, well, when the shock started to run off, I realized my mom was actually dead. And then I realized what they did to her, and outraged, outraged, absolute outrage. So it's really important that if you ever have a family member, well, first of all, you need somebody who's highly educated in the fact that the medical system is corrupt. And so say you have a mom or a dad dying, and they want to talk to your mom because your dad's dying, and your siblings, and all of you love your mother or your father more than anything in this world. So if they give you bad news, you guys are gonna like go into some kind of, it's like an out of body experience. Nobody's home. So you need to bring somebody who can listen carefully to every word that's said. Either secretly record it's probably the best thing to do. And then once everybody's gotten home and calmed down, listen to it and make a decision. And have him be your fill-in. So when everybody's crying or saying things that don't make sense, he can say, what? Wait, did you just say that you're going to keep her here like a prisoner? She's not a prisoner. She's not, this isn't a jailhouse. This is a hospital. And she didn't have COVID, so they couldn't use that as an excuse. Okay, so this is a hospital. They have every right to see her, and you have no right to make any medical decisions without somebody here. And how dare you offer, it's like giving a carrot to a freaking rabbit, like dangling this hope. Well, but you can see her, and that's what she wants, to come home. But she's offered no food and no fluids, so she's gonna die within a week. You didn't give them options. You threatened them. You need somebody who can stand up. I am that person, that advocate, but I've been, as strong as I am, I've become strong as a horse because of what's happened to me. But, you need somebody. When it's me, it's different. It comes out, it's just a little late. It's way too late. Like, it literally happened, and a week later my mom was dead, and then I started to come out of the shock, and, I did everything I could, but it was too late. So anyway, you need somebody like me for an emergency. If anything happens to somebody you love, take an advocate, someone who is never afraid to speak up. You need somebody who can speak up. And you know what? Take a purse, a bag, a briefcase, record it. Record it. And even if maybe you couldn't use it in a court of law, because, technically you would have to announce that you're recording. But so what? Don't use it in the court of law. You're going to know what happened. And a lot of times they're stupid enough to admit it. So once you know what happened, then it's going to be really easy to prove because you'll have a whole room of people there that heard the same things you did. You know what I mean? You'll have witnesses, and, you know, it's just a good thing to have. And then if you want to go to court, go to court. Sue them. Do whatever you want to do. But if you have 4 people there who went into shock, they're not even going to remember what happened. That's why I recorded. Did I make the wrong decision? Yes, but I have it recorded. I will never forget what he said. It's ingrained in my mind. But if somebody doesn't believe me, I'll pull out the recording. You know what I mean? So, I hope that helps somebody, seriously. Because, you know, even with Ezra, the Lord was with me. And he's made me strong as an ox. But I needed to know. And he wasn't going to let me leave that hospital without figuring it out, you know. So, and if I would have stood up for myself with my son Colin would be here. So, doctors are no better than you. People look up to them like they're some sort of authority with respect, and there are amazing doctors. But even the best doctor in the world, we're all human and we make mistakes, and that's okay. But unfortunately, there are also doctors who don't love their job, don't care for their patients, and can get away with murder, you know, and nobody's going to know about it. And, you know, we have to look out for one another when it comes to that. You know, I'm not afraid of hospitals. I'm afraid of a bad doctor. You know? I feel bad because I can't read the comments because I've been up for so long that my vision's blurry. Bad vision. Sorry. Anyway. I wanted to go through and answer questions, but I can't see. I can't see. That light's all the way over there. It's not going to help me over here. Anyway, here, let me show baby. He just stopped eating. I feel like I should be a midwife now because I'd make a good one. Alright, hold on. Hold on. The baby. The perfect baby. Was that good? Was that good? I gotta flip it without. I always almost turn it off. Look at the baby. You gonna take a nap with mommy? Huh? Look at these little feet. Let's show them your little feet. Look at those little feet. So tiny. Tiny little feet. Let's get them both. My nail polish looks so bad. I need to take it off. Look at those feet. You got daddy's feet. He does. You see how his big toe and then his next two are, well, this one's definitely longer. This one's either a little longer or the same length, but they look exactly. And daddy has a hole between his big toe and his other toes, and so does Ezra. Say I got my daddy's. See that hole right there between. It's not that big because he's so little, but it's there. It's there, isn't it, Ezra? Isn't it? He's got so much hair. Say hi. Why is the camera doing that thing? Say hi. Can you say hi? Don't go at your face. No. No. I don't like the mitts because they always fall off. I'm gonna start putting socks on his hands. That actually works really good. Mom hack. Socks on hands. Because the mitts just fall off. They're a joke. But socks don't. Oh my goodness, you're so sleepy. I don't believe you because you slept all on and off all day. But he did keep both me and Daddy up all night. I love this little bassinet that hooks to my bed. Like, it's like my bed's here. And, I mean, it's a bassinet. It's a co-sleeper, but it's not in my bed. You know what I mean? It's so cute. I love it. It's a mess right now. Harley did it again. Anyway, there's these clicks to make it level, and he clicked. I told him before he brought up Ezra. I said, fix the corner. You put it down too low. And he didn't fix it. But it's nice. It's on wheels, and this comes up and down, so I could roll this up and zip it so that, you know, he can't get out. He can't get out right now anyway. But anyway, underneath the bassinet, there's hooks that go all the way to the other side of the bed, and hook that way, you know, it's not going anywhere. Right, Ezra? Right? But I like it because I can literally roll over and get him without getting out of bed, you know? All my other bassinets, I had to get up and normally not move far, but because bassinets are normally on wheels, but it was never level with my bed, so I couldn't just like roll over and look in at my baby. That's what I love, just being able to look, you know, lay in bed as you're falling asleep, you're looking at him. You know what I mean? All my other bassinets were higher than my bed, so I couldn't see in the bassinet, and he'd like fuss, and I'm like, what is he doing? So I'd get up and run and check. I know you want to eat more? Okay, we can eat more. We can eat more. Show him how little your hands are. No? No? And it was so pathetic, so like pathetically cute. When he was born, obviously he was full of amniotic fluid. So we were waiting for the huge cry, and we didn't get it. And nobody would tell us why, of course. We were waiting for his cry. Say hi. And he couldn't cry. He would just... It was like a grunt moan. Like, not quite like that. That's more of a squeak. But it was like a little grunt, 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 grunt. And then every so often, he would get out a tiny little... And a little bit of fluid would come out. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have the quietest baby in the world. First thing the fluid was out, he was screaming. But, I mean, we were happy to hear him screaming. Oh, something else I wanted to tell you. So, the nurse that I was talking to about all these things, and she was telling me, you know, what normally happens, and how normal it is to have a baby full of amniotic fluid, obviously, if they're born sunny side up. Anyway, okay, hold on. I gotta get him. Alright, I'm gonna get you situated, and then I can talk. because you are all over the place. Here, come on. You're okay. Hey. Stop it. You don't need your Ezra, you don't need your hands. Stop putting them in your face. Okay? No hands. Just mouth. No. Are you pooping? Okay. Now calm down. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the nurse that I was talking to, she obviously said it was normal. Of course he's gonna be full of amniotic fluid. She's like, gravity, duh. She was so funny. I was like, isn't it frustrating standing there for half an hour work? Because she wasn't even from labor and delivery. She's the one that comes over with the cart, and when the baby comes out, she's the nurse that works on the babies, or the baby. Anyway, I was like, isn't that frustrating? You've got a mom still in birth or in labor, and a dad hovering over you, and everybody's asking you what's going on. And she remained really calm, and she said this is quite common. I'm like, okay. All the other nurses were saying, oh, this is completely normal, and it is completely normal. So they weren't lying. It's completely normal when you have a baby sunny side up. Anyway, I said, isn't it hard to not just, say, your baby was born face up, so of course he has amniotic fluid, this, we'll take care of it, In these situations, this is normal. But no, anyway, she said it was extremely frustrating. She's just supposed to come in the room, take care of the baby, and be really quiet. But anyway, we were talking about the delivery, and I was explaining everything, and she said that having a baby sunny side up, the pain, if you were to, is the equivalent pain to breaking, how'd you say it? Is equivalent. Okay, the pain of delivering a baby sunny side up is equivalent to breaking 52 bones. And I was like, okay, I feel so much better. Now I know what, I knew what I was feeling, and it was awful. But, to hear that that's just how it is, I'm not crazy. It hurt that bad. And I told her, I was like, I couldn't have explained it better. And I was like, who'd you hear that from? And she's like, no, we learn about it. So, she was taught, when she was, I guess, in school. But anyway, the equivalent pain level to giving birth sunny side up is breaking 52 bones. And that's exactly what it felt like. I was like, I couldn't have put it better myself. But you would think that being in that much pain, your doctor would want to relieve a little bit of the mental strain by saying, maybe not that, because that's scary to hear. But, this level of pain is really, really, really normal. I'm surprised you're not doing better or handling it better. And afterwards, a lot of the nurses did just say they couldn't believe it, because Ezra was out in a push and a half. And normally you have to push for at least an hour, if not 3. So, we did good, but I feel like, I'm not at all bragging. There's nothing to brag about here. I feel like the only way I was able to do it at all is because, he was my 6th baby, you know what I mean? And even though it was nothing like any delivery I've ever been through, I was more experienced at, I'd like to say, listening to and working with my body, but I couldn't read my body. So I just tried to follow my body's lead. and try not to question it too much, which was really hard to do because you want to know what's going on. But yeah, so I just followed my body's lead regardless to how bad it hurt. Because, you know, if it happens too quick, somebody's going to get hurt. If it happens too slow. But anyway, yeah, I couldn't believe it. So after all that pain, the nurse wouldn't listen to me when I said she was ready. And then they weren't ready for me to push the baby the rest of the way out. So for 2 full contractions, they made me hold him in. How can you do that? Like, how can you not push? It was awful. It was awful. But I'll have to let you guys know what the doctor says. How she reacts to, you know, I'm going to try to fool her by thinking, not really fool her, but I'm not going to let her know. That's not nice. I'm not going to let her know that I know. I want to see if she's willing to lie to me. You know what I mean? And if she is, we have problems. No light. No, I have no light. Every time I pull the comments down, they slide right back up. Damn, my brain surgery wasn't shit. Meaning it went well. It is scary. And they have this like Hippocratic oath. Please forgive me. I'm like almost a week straight with like, I don't know, 6 hours of sleep. They take an oath to basically, you know, shut up. You know, like, you know, to keep everything quiet unless they all agree to not be quiet. I don't know. Have you ever tried to get your medical records from a doctor who was in trouble and he knew it? Took me a year to get my son's, and 70% of it was redacted. Like, what? You can't do that. And my mother, she died in June of 2019, right after COVID hit. A couple months after COVID hit. That was 2019, right? Right? Or was it 2020? Anyway, the year COVID hit, she died in June. My dad had his nervous breakdown. And then about 2 months later, he went in and demanded to get her medical records. He still hasn't gotten them. Surprise, surprise. If they have nothing to hide, they will go get them and hand them to you immediately. When they have something to hide, they withhold. Which, if they do that, you need to keep, you know, track of it, like, you know, record of it, you know, call in this state for records, you know, called back. When you go to court, hopefully none of you ever have to, but when you go to court, everything is about documentation. If you wrote it down and you have to write everything down or have a piece of paper for, you know, just proving you did X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Because then if you have proof of phone call, you know, you can write it down and screenshot your phone. And what are they going to say in court when the judge asks, or somebody asks, okay, so they requested their medical records on this date at this time. You refused. And then they continued to call you for a year straight. You didn't answer the phone. You hung up on them. You know what I mean? Like, write down what happens every time you call. You put them to voicemail, and they still don't have the right medical records. It just makes them look bad. And as a business, as a doctor's office, they should have all the answers to all the questions you could ever have, and they still, for a whole year, you didn't answer the question of where are my medical records. It just makes them look really bad. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to hide something, because they are. Because the sad thing is these doctors care more about their medical license than they do their patients. And doctors are human, and they mess up all the time, and some of them aren't gonna, risk losing that license that they worked their whole life for over your dead mother or son. To them, it's not worth it. They're not going to go to jail and lose their license over you. They're going to cover it up. They got a cushy life. It's just the truth. Is that a sheet? Breastfeeding, this thing, sheet? What are you talking about? He's asleep. So if any of you lost, loved ones to extremely questionable situations, I mean, I lost two of the closest to me, my son and my mom. I can't imagine that none of you have experienced some crazy stuff. I've experienced so many crazy, 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 awful, terrible, horrendous things in the medical system, but thank God, only two of them resulted in death. But I mean, there are so many awful things. And the scary part is it's getting worse, because I don't want to say it because I'll get banned. The COVID has made it a lot easier for them to get away with MURDER, because there's nobody there holding them accountable. Like when I was little and my mom's parents were dying and my dad's parents were dying, we would all get together and have a big family meeting. I was little, but my mom and all her siblings, she's got like 7 of them, and then all their husbands and wives and all of us cousins, we'd all gather together and talk about what was the right medical decision to make for grandma or granddad. You know what I mean? Like, it was a big deal. And then we would have multiple meetings with the doctor. It was very respectable and proper, as it should be. Patient was number one. Family had to make informed decisions. They were not given alternatives or threatened or coerced. But now you're lucky to get in the room, not to mention bring in, your whole family to sit down with the doctor and make really important life or death decisions. That's taken away. We don't get to do that anymore. We're lucky to get one person. And that one person's normally so emotionally invested, like your husband or your wife, that they can't think clearly. You know, you need a group. You need a village. You need an army when it comes to making decisions like that. And as far as I know, up until COVID, that's how it's continued to be, you know? As far as I know. Since my son died 14 years ago, I really haven't set foot into, you know, hospitals and doctors much, except for when my children were born. But I know because my mom went in right after, you know what? They weren't letting anybody in. I wasn't allowed to go see her. My sister wasn't allowed. My brother wasn't allowed. Nobody was allowed. And I threw a fit one day at the door because they were only allowing one person per patient. And people have to sleep. There's no fill-ins. There's no nothing. So say your uncle took your mother to the hospital. Because your uncle admitted her, nobody but that uncle could go see her. If a taxi driver admitted her, the taxi driver would be the only one that's allowed in. It's insane. This was really happening. So I would go up there to see her, and of course they wouldn't let me in. But there would be people yelling, screaming, crying, fighting, trying to get in these hospitals because they knew their mom, dad, husband, whoever was going to die. And they would not budge. They did not care. They wouldn't let anyone in. It was absolutely heartbreaking. I could not believe it. So not only are they breaking the hearts of all these people who don't get to say their last, you know, their goodbyes and their hugs and their kisses, but you have people dying alone, isolated in a room with a bunch of people who probably don't even care about them. I've had amazing nurses. I don't necessarily want to say doctors, but I've had amazing nurses. But that's not your family. It's just not. I'm sure there's a lot of amazing doctors too. I just haven't yet met one. But nobody should be denied their family on their deathbed. Nobody. And that happened in this country, and I'm sure it's still happening today. When I was pregnant, anybody could walk in and out of the hospital. Anyone. In and out. No security guards or anything crazy. When I went in to deliver, well, like 2 weeks before I went in to deliver, there was a desk with bands and stickers and all kinds of junk. And you'd have to say who you were, why you were there, and you would get a sticker with like a sticker with where you were going, a sticker that said labor delivery or whatever, wherever you're going, and then another little sticker that shows what day it is. And only 2 people are allowed per patient. So, you know, I was allowed to have 2 people come see me. I was not allowed to have my children come see me. I was gone for a week, and my kid, nobody under the age of 18 is allowed in the hospital. And each patient is allowed 2 guests, which isn't as bad as it was, but they're already setting up checkpoints in the hospital, and I know what's coming next. It's October. You know, flu season's about ready to come around. And before we know it, we won't be able to go in the hospital. I guarantee it, because I went through all this crap with Mom, and I know what their setup looks like. And to me, it looks like they're getting ready to implement the hospital lockdown thing. Which, if that happens, I'm just going to basically lose my mind, because I don't have anybody up there, but it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. We cannot let hospitals lock up our loved ones just because they're sick. Like, we can't do that. And if you go to see your mom who's in the hospital, that they say is dying, and they say you can't go in. You say, yeah, I can. Like, we can't just, like, take no for an answer from these people, or this stuff's never going to stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you're to take my son in the hospital and say you can't come in, I mean, I would be pushing them out of the way, breaking the glass door. I don't care if I get arrested or not. I'm getting in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and like, I look at these people and I'm like, do you have a soul? Like, do you? Because if you did, you, like, if I worked in a place that started doing stuff like that, I would walk out. Like, I would just leave. I don't understand how anybody could have worked through what happened with COVID. And we call them heroes, and they are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But they also participated in horrendous things, you know, like without saying this is wrong, you know, this woman's gonna die tonight. Let her family in. You know, that's wrong. And don't get me wrong, I love nurses and I love doctors. It's just like, you know, we have to really think about what we're doing and how it impacts others. Like, what if that was your mother and the hospital told you, like, if you're a nurse and you worked throughout COVID, okay, your mom's in the hospital. It's your mom. And they say that you can't see her, like, it would break your heart. And you can't help but to think, like, is this person just following orders and has no clue? Or is this person heartless? I pray to God this person's just following orders, because if not, he or she's heartless. And I don't want to believe that. You know, sickness has been around for a long time. We're not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. If it makes you uncomfortable, that's fine. But I don't care what my mother has. I'm going to hug her, hold her, and kiss her on her deathbed, you know? I'm sorry. It's just how it is. And nobody should have the right to stop me. You know what I mean? And my mom didn't even have COVID. So they couldn't have used that as an excuse. I'll lay over here for a second, okay? Unless you want to see the camera. Let's see the camera. Okay, hold on. Ezra, Ezra, sweet little baby. Oh wait, is this a smile? He smiled and I missed it. You smile, what are you dreaming about? Do you ever wonder, like, what kind of dreams the Lord gives babies? Because they smile a lot in their dreams. And they, like, flutter their eyes like they're, you know, watching something very intently. Don't you? His hands are moving. What are you doing? His nose is a little bruised. A little bruised. But, I mean, you can, if I went and pointed it out, you wouldn't probably even notice. I'd say more swollen than bruised. It's a little swollen. But, I mean, you'd really have to look to notice. I can tell because I'm his mom, but it's just a little bit swollen. Just a little bit. The camera makes him look so much bigger. Like, how can I measure him to show you how tiny he is? Like, how? How do I show him how tiny you are? If you're so tiny, the camera makes him look bigger. So, he got jaundice really bad after he was born. And he lost a lot of weight. He went all the way down to 5 pounds, 7 ounces. And today at his doctor's appointment, he was 5 pounds. See how the camera does that? I don't understand. Anytime somebody's next to the side, I don't know why it does that. TikTok's the only one. Anyway, today at his doctor's appointment, we just got discharged yesterday, and we already had a checkup. At his checkup, he was 5 pounds, 12 ounces, so he's gaining. Oh, is it another smile? Oh my goodness! He just smiled again. What are you dreaming about? More milk? I think so. Yep. Yep. More milk. You smiled and I missed it almost. I only saw a little bit of it. Oh, another bizarre thing that happened to me is I had him and immediately started breastfeeding. And, I mean, obviously, they give you baby skin to skin, and I started to breastfeed. And, like, the next day, probably like 12 hours later, I was in bed in a lot of pain, and they took him over to have his vision and hearing tests, and I won't let the nurses or the doctors take him anywhere without me or my husband. So anyway, my husband goes with him, and he sees the doctor for this first time, and the doctor's like, he's extremely tongue-tied. He can't breastfeed. You're going to have to formula feed him. And funny enough, my husband and I know the nurse. But anyway, the nurse and my husband looked at each other like, and my husband was like, my wife's been breastfeeding him for the last 12 hours. And he had the nerve to say, well, she's going to have to stop. Hold on. She's going to have to stop. And then the nurse, I love her, she's hilarious. She's like, okay, wait, hold on. The nurse was like, she said, okay, you go in and tell this breastfeeding mother of 6 that she can't breastfeed because the baby's tongue-tied after breastfeeding for the last 12 hours. Go ahead, you tell her. And he said, okay, I will. And he came back to tell me, and my sister was in the room with me, and I was asleep. I woke up to her saying, basically, get out of here. My sister's trying to sleep. Anyway, so he failed. And then the next day, he came to tell me that if I'm lucky, that he may continue to breastfeed. But if I breastfed, if I continue to breastfeed, I would have to supplement because with formula. I said, well, what if I pump and give him some bottle out of that? He's like, no, you have to supplement with formula. Anyway, stop. I'm trying. Let me get it situated. He said you can continue breastfeeding, but you're going to have to supplement as well. So after every breastfeeding, supplement a little. And he's like, if you're lucky, you might be able to do this for a couple. Hold on. He said, if you're lucky, you might, Ezra, if you're lucky, you might be able to get away with this for the next couple months at most. And then you're going to have to get his tongue clipped. Here, hold on. Here. I've never had a tongue-tied baby. And they say that tongue-tied babies, it's like genetic. And I'm like, well, I've never had anybody in my family tongue-tied. Neither has my husband. But anyways, then today I go for his checkup after we get out of the hospital. And I brought it up to the doctor, and she's like, his tongue looks absolutely beautiful. I was like, so we don't need it clipped? And she's like, no. Oh my gosh. By the time I left that hospital, I wanted to pull all my hair out. I mean, obviously, we weren't just gonna go clip his tongue. Like, when he was put on my chest for skin to skin contact, he immediately started breastfeeding. And the first thing I said about him was, wow, he's got a good latch. So for that to be the first thing I said about him to a doctor who says you can't breastfeed, it's just unbelievable. Like, I'm starting to wonder if they're like bringing, like, are these even doctors? I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Ezra? But yeah, the doctor I saw today, she was like, oh, he's beautiful. He's perfect. His tongue looks great. I mean, she was just like, she was amazing. She was amazing. I'm not even going to tell you what he said about the jaundice. It's too long of a story and I'm too tired. All of my children have had jaundice, so I wasn't surprised. But long story short, and I'm not going to explain what happened, but I'll explain what he did. He, I think sadly, a lot of doctors are used to saying some things that might be a little scary and having the patients immediately say, whatever you say, doctor, you know what's best, and kind of, scaring people into having them do what you want them to do. Anyway, he had said some complete off the wall things to my husband, and noticed my husband didn't budge, and then he came back and spoke to me and my husband together for over 30 minutes. He just kept going. He wouldn't stop. And it seemed to me like, he just, the longer he talked, the worse it got. One, I wish I would have known it was him. I would have recorded it. You won't believe the things he said. I think he noticed that we didn't seem concerned about anything that he was saying, and we weren't taking his word for it. We were just kind of asking more questions, and so he just kept making it more and more scary, like, if you don't do this, then we're talking about jaundice, okay? This is my 5th baby with jaundice. I know how this works. He's like, well, if you don't do this the way I want you to do it, he could have to have a blood transfusion so seriously that we would have to flush all of his blood out of his system and put all new blood in. And that's the only way he'd survive. And I'm looking at him like, what is he talking about? Was that supposed to scare me? If anything, I think you're crazy now. Like, crazy. He's like, and it gets even worse. We wouldn't be able to keep him at this hospital. We'd have to ship him to another hospital because we don't even do that here. And I was like, was that, he knows I have a bunch of kids at home. I was like, was that another like scare tactic threat? Didn't work. But anyway, it was so funny. So yeah, I can't get you to eat though. We go through this huge ordeal. Me and my husband won't listen to a word he says. And the next day, because he was like acting like there was no way my baby would survive unless I did everything that he told me to. Anyway, the next day he comes in, and what's he gonna say? Like, he walks in and says, "It was a miracle. It was a miracle." I was like, it wasn't a miracle. Like, this is how it works. I mean, and then he said, you have a lot of faith in this stuff. And he pointed at, like, the Billy blankets and stuff. And I was like, I don't have any faith in that. I have faith in God and experience. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, the fact that my son survived jaundice is a miracle. I told the nurses up there, I was like, listen, if I wasn't a new time, like a new mom, I would have been terrified. You know, I would have been terrified. But like I said, that nurse, they have a reference for people like me at the hospital, a grandma tip. I think I'm saying it wrong though. I don't know if it's a grandma something. Um, you can't pull a fast one on me, but you know, they did pull a lot of fast. That's how Colin is dead because I was young and I chose to listen to my doctor without asking questions. I just chose to trust him without going and getting a second opinion or putting my foot down and saying, that's wrong. I don't agree with that. Like I had to learn the hard way, hard way, because fortunately, if you just listen, just quote, if you use the quote, just, I just listened to my doctor, or just listening to my doctor is like the scariest, most dangerous thing that you can do. You have to be able to question everything. Always get second opinions and always do your own research and listen to your body. Your body will tell you. Your body is so good at communicating with you. I'd say 2 months before the delivery, I started to know in my head, it would be like the delivery. I know everybody's going to be okay, but the delivery, something doesn't feel right. This isn't going to be good. I kept saying that to my husband. Something's wrong, but everything's going to be okay. This doesn't feel right. This is going to be really bad. And he's like, you're just nervous. And I'm like, Harley, how many kids have I had? Why would I be nervous? Something's wrong. But I knew everybody would be okay. But like I'm saying, it's amazing. The Lord started to warn me months before delivery. When we drove up the day of, I told him, like, Harley, this is going to be a really long, really difficult day, and probably one of the worst, or, one of the most intense deliveries you've ever witnessed. I just knew it, You have to trust. Some people call it instincts or intuition. I call it God because I know that's who it is. Because he warns us, he tells us, and he prepares us for it. Like, the doctor wasn't preparing for me or telling me what to expect. So the Lord prepared me so that, the last 2 months leading up to the delivery, I was not surprised when I'm used to when they won't answer questions, something's wrong. They weren't answering questions. I knew something was wrong, and I was mentally prepared for that as I possibly could be. I mean, you know how it is. So I praise the Lord. And I praise the Lord the epidural didn't work. Even though if there's one delivery I would have liked an epidural on, it was that one. But if I'd had an epidural, I'd never known he was sunny side up. Every single thing, down to his weight. He weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces. I could not figure it out. I'm like, what the heck? All my other babies were premature. They were premature, born at 36 weeks, and they were all 6. Like, Evan was 6'8", Jade was 6'6", Malachi was 6'11", and Asher was 6'13" or 6'14". He was 6'2" at 38 weeks. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, oh, if he'd have been 1 ounce bigger, I wouldn't be able to push him out. Like, there's no way. He'd have broken a collarbone and a nose, and I'd have ripped and possibly even needed a C-section. Who knows? But at 6 pounds 2 ounces exactly, it worked out. And that was Jesus. That's what God does. He knits us together in our mother's womb, and he knew exactly what was going to happen on delivery day. And he made this little guy the exact right size to do it. It's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only explanation. He should have been, like 7.5, maybe even 8 pounds. But instead, he was 6 pounds 2 ounces because he wanted to come up sunny side up. You just wanted to be special, didn't you? Didn't you? You just wanted to be special. You just wanted to come up and look at everybody, didn't you? You just wanted to see what was going on. Yeah, you did. My hair's in the way. I could just sit here and look at him all day. I need to turn the lights on so you guys can see him better. What are you doing? Say hi. Hi. I'll have to go live when his eyes are open. Say hi, Ezra. Hi. No baby. Oh baby. Can I show how big how little you are with my hand? Like, I wish I could show how teeny. Like, he's so teeny. I mean, let's show your hand. One little finger. So tiny. So tiny. Oh, I got my Prego belly out here. My after Prego belly. He's always pulling my clothes off. So tiny. Look at those little fingers. So sweet. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Now he's gonna want to eat. So sweet. So sweet. So tiny. So tiny. He's in preemie clothes. Preemie clothes. Aww. Dreaming? Aww. I love it when they dream. It is so stinking cute. They move their eyes all around in their mouth and they make all these little squeaky noises. So cute. My kids don't have school tomorrow. Like, I got discharged late on Wednesday and I was like, okay, well, Ezra has a doctor's appointment today. I was like, Friday. I get Friday. On Friday, when Ezra naps, I'm going to nap before the weekend because it's a 3-day weekend. And the kids come home from school today and they're like, we don't have school tomorrow. And I'm like, of course you don't. I'm not sure what the schools don't. They go to a private school and this is our first year. And I don't know. I don't know if I just missed something. Hey, looked at a paper wrong. He's pooping. That's what it is. What are you doing with your head? Huh? What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm trying to... What? I'm gonna burp you. Stop flying all over the place. Here, look this way. Yawn. Here. Okay. I'm gonna hold your head. Okay. Okay. Good burpee. Your eyes are open. Your eyes are open. There you go. Does that feel better? Does that feel better? Oh, did you just smile again? And miss it again? He's not done going potty. He's still pooping. He has some gas pains going on. Don't ya? You do. You got some gas pains going on. Here. Where's your binky at? I'll give you your binky. Your binky so I don't have to chew my finger. What do you think? What do you think, Ezra? Look, you have friends on here. So my glasses broke. I have reading glasses. And right before I went into the hospital, the arm broke off. It's okay. It's okay. My husband tried to glue them back together, but they just fell right back apart. I would totally... My husband has an extra pair of glasses. Get those and read the comments. That's what I should do. But if I lay him down right now... Hey. Oh, buddy. Just for a second. Hey, just for a second. Just for a second. I'm not gonna daddy you. I'm not gonna, like, cocoon you. I'm just gonna sit you here for a second. Is that okay? No, no. Arm. One second here. I absolutely love these little, this bedding thing. Like, it didn't come with a bassinet. It ties down here, and, like, you can tighten it and loosen it depending on the size of the baby. We can make it a lot smaller, but it is so soft. So it has padding all the way around here, and then the center has a really nice pad, too. And it slides out the bottom so you can wash it. It is just so soft and so cute. Ezra loves it, don't you, Ezra? You just love it. And again, you're faced the wrong way. Why? It's dark over there. It's dark over there. Maybe if I hold it like this, you can get an idea of how teeny he is. Teeny, 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 teeny. 5 pounds, 12 ounces. That's bigger than he was. He went all the way down to 5 pounds, 7 ounces. Didn't ya? Say I'm gaining 2 ounces a day? Yeah. You'll start gaining quicker. My oldest, he had jaundice really bad. He was born 36 weeks, 6 pounds, 8 ounces. He went all the way down to 5 pounds, 5 ounces. And then, you know, he's the chunkiest baby I've ever had. But I mean, you know, those first couple weeks were really hard. And then he started chunking up. And now he is 5'5", 12 years old. 5'5". How crazy is that? Oh my goodness. He's such a big boy. Soon he'll be as tall as Mommy, won't he, Ezra? Ezra Matthew. Me and my husband had an amazing friend named Matt. We loved him so much. We've known him since he was 16 years old, and he passed away not too long before I got pregnant with Ezra, actually. Oh, wait. sorry. He passed away while I was pregnant with Ezra. Yeah. Yeah, because I spoke at his gathering and I had a baby belly. Anyway, so we named Ezra after Matt. Ezra Matthew. Right? Ezra Matthew. Matt was so cool. He had beautiful curly hair. He played the guitar. He sang. He was in musicals. I mean, he could do it all. Like, he was book smart. He was an artist, a musician. Man, he could sing. He was just awesome. And he was one of those people that just always had the biggest smile on his face. He was amazing. He was amazing. I used to take him on vacation with me and call him my Manny. He loved it because, I mean, it was a free trip to the beach. He was my Manny. It was for fun times. But yeah, he passed way too young. Way too young to pass away. So, in loving memory of Matthew, officially, Ezra will carry his name. And Matt wanted kids so bad, and he never got to have any. If Matt were here right now and knew that, like, you know, we're here for the announcement of his name, he would, like, jump up and down and fly over to the house and cry and probably, like, I don't know, bake something. That was so much fun. He was so funny. Alright, Ezra, say night-night. I gotta go get your daddy because this bed's still crooked and I want to go to sleep. See, let me see if I put it up against the wall. You can see. Let me see. It's really hard to tell, but it's crooked. He needs to come and fix this. Does anybody know when I hit stop, can I still read the comments? Like if I go get a pair of glasses and a light, or do the comments just like disappear? Because I want to read all the comments. Next time, I just did it spur of the moment. Next time I'm going to have to make sure I have, I guess, Daddy's glasses. I'm going to look really stupid in them. But Daddy's glasses and a new bulb in my lamp so I can see all the comments. Thank you. He has, look at these sideburns. Like, they mean serious business here, huh? He has some long sideburns there. Look at that. I mean, really? If you and Daddy were competing, I think you'd win, Ezra. You got some serious sideburns. Let's say. Bring a... See, my stupid dark light, no glasses vision. Bring a blank is fantastic. Parrot? Parrot? I have parrots downstairs. But I don't want them to wake up the baby. I know, it's because I can't see. It's too late. My eyes are blurry. Your baby is really cute. Thank you so much. Oh, 3-week-old. Oh. I have a 19-year-old, a 14-year-old in heaven, a 12-year-old over there rolling his computer chair back and forth, a 10-year-old, because there's no school tomorrow, little girl, 19-year-old girl, 12-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, 7-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy, and then Ezra, couple-day-old boy. Should we have another one? Who was I talking to? All the nurses at the hospital, and she was getting ready to go off shift, and she knew I'd be gone. She got back, and she said, all right, well, I guess I'll have to wait until I see you up here next time. And I said, next time? There's not going to be a next time. And she's like, that's what you've said the last 5 times. And I was like, okay, you got me. And she's like, and not only that, but, I mean, she's like, Asher's 5 now, and Ezra needs a playmate. And I was like, you are totally right. He does need a playmate. So then, like, literally, I came home, told my husband, and the poor guy almost fainted. What we just went through with his delivery, like, I think my husband thought I was going to die because I began hemorrhaging. I mean, there were hundreds of clots in less than 30 minutes because of the delivery. So, you know, it scared him. And the whole pregnancy, I had severe swelling, but now we know why. It's because the baby was faced the wrong way. He's not going to sleep this way. I just need to go get my husband to come fix this bed so I can lay down and go to sleep. Depending on if he wakes back up, I'll go on live again. If he goes to sleep, I'm taking a nap. And I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Let's see here. I gotta figure out, is there a way to keep the comments? Comments. Oh, that's just to comment yourself. I want to be able to end, but like, I want to go through and read the comments. And I know I can't. I don't think so anyway. Alright, well, next time, if I missed a comment, I'm really, really sorry. Next time, I will read the comments. I can see some of them. Hi from Chicago. We talked about so much stuff. Like, really intense stuff. If anybody ever wants to talk about those things or something you went through, or if you need advice, just please let me know. And I will give you the best advice that I can. I know it's hard. As long as everybody in here was nice and kind. Maybe I should get one of those people. What are they called? I don't even know. What was the button? I just saw it. And not that. Oh, moderator. Maybe I should get a moderator. What do you think, Ezra? Do you want to be a moderator? I can't believe he's faced that way just because I want to show you guys his cute little face. He's faced the opposite direction. Opposite direction. Sweet baby. He has this like amazing crib. And I guarantee you, this is where he will sleep until he's too big for it. Like, you know, forever if he has it his way. And once he's big enough to crawl out, we have this huge king-size bed. I guarantee he's just going to crawl into the bed with us. Will the crib ever be used? At this point, I just feel like it's for, you know, decoration. You know what I mean? Because there's swings, bouncers, and beds all over the whole house. And I need them right next to me. So, I did that with all my babies, though. It's nothing new. This is just the first time I've had a bassinet that hooks to my bed. I'm in love with it. I wish they made these, you know, years and years and years ago. It's so convenient. I mean, you know, to just mesh so there's no, you know, chance of smothering up against the side. And I can just lay here and look at him. If he fusses across the room in a bassinet, I don't have to worry about what's happening, you know? So, alright, well, I'm going to get back on if he wakes up. And I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.